Once we started making, into the six figures per month, it's like, all right, this is getting kind of awkward with friends and family. Like, let's kind of back off that. And then it turned into like a 6-person fight. Pepper spray was used.
Do you think everybody could be a business owner?
No.
What's up, Bobby here. Today on the podcast, I interviewed Kelan from The Savvy Couple. I've been really excited about this one. This is somebody that I've been watching in the blogging space since like 2016. They started blogging just right after I started Millennial Money Man, and say they because it's a husband and wife team, Kelan and Brittany, and it was really cool. It was a great conversation because I've seen him go from basically working in a jail and working with inmates in a jail to quitting his job and finding online business and freelancing, and he's grown a really cool company over at this thesavvycouple.com. And now they've built out brands underneath. They've got a mommy brand and they've got a food brand. So it's been really cool to see him grow. And I watched him from the early days start at like nothing, at like $0. And now his business has done upwards of 6 figures in a month, which is just crazy. And it's a really cool thing to see somebody else do that and kind of watch them over the years. So we talked about what it was like to work as a couple, and that was actually, he gave me a pretty surprising answer on that one. We talked about, what it's like to work with your kids. Does money make you happy? Like when you see 6 figures coming in a single month from your business, like, does that make you happy or not? So all around, great conversation. And see you in the podcast. What's up, Kelan? How's it going, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? Good.
Man, I feel like I haven't talked to you. Every guest that I've had on, like I haven't actually talked to them since like the pandemic, but I feel like it's been like several years, right?
Yeah. I think last time we had an in-person conversation was 2018 FinCon. So that's been
2018.
quite a while.
Holy crap.
I think it's 2018
5 years ago.
DC.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Man, and a lot has changed in 5 years, huh?
For sure.
Yeah. Why don't you just tell everybody what you like? I do intros and stuff before this. Like I'll cut an intro after the podcast, but like, what are you doing now? Because I know you have like several different things that you're working on right now.
Yeah. So we own Savvy Media Marketing, and underneath that we have 3 different brands: the Savvy Couple, the Savvy Mama, and the Savvy Kitchen. The Savvy Couple is by far our biggest brand. We kind of branched out in the last year and split up some digital products, and then Brittany kind of took off with her, and that's my wife, took off with her brand, the Savvy Mama, and has been doing awesome there with the membership and digital products.
That's sick, dude. Did you ever think that you were going to own like multiple websites and stuff?
No, I actually go ahead.
Oh, I feel like it's so funny. It's like everybody that started, because there was like a kind of a pack of people I feel like that started in like 2018 or I guess I started in like 2016. What year did you start?
2016.
Yeah. There's like a group of people that started in that time. And I feel like everybody that's like made it through that period of time is now like starting to like build these like little empires. It's like they're built like Grant from Millennial Money. Well, now he's like MMG Media. He's buying up all these websites. And I talked to Julie Berman the other day from Gold City Ventures, and they're buying up a bunch of different stuff and building a bunch of things out. It's just wild to see like that so many people are doing that from the 2016 kind of class,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that, like you said, we all started kind of around the same time. You probably started early 2016.
It's funny. I don't actually know. I think that I started 2015. I have to go back and look. I think it was 2015. But I think I didn't like really, really get started, like putting out a lot of content until probably late 2015, early 2016, something like that.
Yeah. Cause I wanted to give you credit. So Michelle was the first kind of person that I saw making, income reports, and her income reports were unbelievable, like 100K a month. It was like, what the heck? This can't be real. This has to be a scam. Right? Some things were not right here. And then I kept like going into these income reports, and you were doing income reports at the time. And you were like, I think when I started following you, you're like 5K a month, 6K up to 10K. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's kind of a little bit more of a normal number. And Bobby's a band teacher. I'm like, wow, if he can do something like this, you and Michelle kind of gave me that vision of, in like confidence, like just go for it. And like, if they can do it, you can do it. And that was like absolutely life-changing.
Yeah. It's so funny, man. I remember when everybody was doing those income reports. And I started doing them because Michelle was doing it, I'm sure. But like Pat Flynn was doing them back then. Like a lot of people were doing them. But Michelle isn't the one that got me started. Jay Money from Budgets Are Sexy is really like the person that got me started. And he didn't even do income reports. Like he was just doing like, he would just kind of like mention how much money he was making every once in a while, but like him, and I was following Aaron Lowry Ooh, I actually had Jay on the other day. I hadn't seen him in a long time. It was a lot of fun to talk to him.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, Aaron, and then I found Michelle's stuff, and I was like, oh wait, you can actually like get kind of rich doing this. Um, and that's, I mean, it was kind of similar for me. So I started doing them, and then it was like, but I was only making money from digital marketing in the beginning, right? Like, and I feel like that's like how a lot of people start out. And I kind of wish I was still doing them sometimes. You did income reports for a while, right?
Yeah, we did up until shoot 2019, 2020 maybe. I think our last one we made like 43,000 a month, and then we were like, all right, this is getting kind of awkward with friends and family, like let's kind of back off that. Even though we still share stuff like that in short video form content and stuff like that, but kind of just holding the privacy a little bit more to the chest.
Yeah, dude, that's exactly why I stopped doing them, because like I think Pat stopped doing them, and then Michelle stopped doing them, and I was like really thinking about it, like why am I doing these? Like, because I do feel like you get to an awkward, like a very very awkward point in time where it's like your friends and family realize like, oh, okay, like they make a lot of money and like a kind of an unrelatable amount of money.
Yep.
Um, and then I just felt so uncomfortable about it. Like
Yep.
I felt really bad about it. And they were kind of a pain to do and everything.
Yeah. I think
Um,
it added a lot of
but yeah,
stress
I
too,
dropped them for
because
that same reason.
you would like every month you try to beat the
Yeah.
next month, and business goes up and down, but like you'd almost feel bad if you had a month that you only made 30K a month when the last month you made 40, and it's like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. And you're like embarrassed to share that
Yeah.
you didn't go. And that is true, man. It's so funny. Like, and I'm guessing you probably feel about probably the same way. Like, I feel like the further I've kind of progressed in business, I start to think more about like quarters and years instead
Yep.
of months, you know?
Totally. Yep.
Yeah. When you said it was awkward with your family, like what happened? I'm just kind of curious since I had kind of a similar experience.
Yeah. I wouldn't say anything particular. So just a little background information. My family, my dad was an engineer, my mom was a school counselor, like, middle class, higher middle class, like very well off, and like never really complained about money, always had money to do activities, all this stuff. Where Brittany's side of the family, totally different, single mom, grinding, barely getting by paycheck to paycheck. So it's just that, we bring the best of both worlds and like best knowledge from both sides of the coin. But yeah, it was just like once we started making, into the six figures per month, it's like this is kind of strange to be sharing like outright on our blog and stuff. I mean, they're not going to find stuff like podcasts like this, maybe, I don't know, but if they do, good for them. But yeah, there was no need to really like produce and show that off and like beat our chest. Like, well, look how much money we're making. We were over that point.
Yeah, I felt like it got weird with some of my friends. I don't know. And I think I go back and think about that a lot. Like, was it actually weird, or was it me just worrying that it was weird?
Yeah.
Because like it's funny now, and I think it's kind of the same with you. Like I stopped doing them for a while, and then now, I mean, I'm creating more content now. Hold on, I don't know if you can hear my kid in the background. I'm creating a lot more content now, so like I'm starting to share more of that stuff, and as a team, we're gonna be sharing a lot more of that kind of stuff. And it's like I care less now that I'm getting older.
Yep.
I'm like, now I don't really care. Like I want to actually teach people. Um, like, do you feel like that's kind of the same, or you're still
Yeah.
keeping it under wraps for the most part?
I've kind of come back to like, yeah, I feel like there's like this middle section where you're making too much and it's awkward to talk about to friends and family, like random people on the internet, and who cares? No problem. But then you get to a point where you have created so much success and, reached financial freedom and done so well. Why would you not pour that back onto your community and try to help them? Totally.
Yeah. What? Okay. You had a very interesting former job. So
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about what you did before? Because I have a lot of questions about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I'd love to dive into some of the stories too. So yeah, I went to school for business and finance. Loved doing that, and I always did businesses growing up. All the time. I was selling like cell phone signal boosters on the back of like flip phones for school. I bought like 100 of them from China, and then was selling them for two
That's
bucks a pop.
awesome.
So always doing side hustles. Always loved business. And then after college, for some reason, I always wanted to be a police officer from the time I was 15. I went on a ride along. I was like, man, it'd be awesome to drive fast, take chances, chase bad guys. It'd be awesome to serve the community like that. And I got it. I landed a job as a Monroe County Correctional Facility, as a jail deputy job. And it was going to be a stepping stone to get to road patrol. And the academy was incredible. I did that for about a year until I just fell into like this crazy depression. And when you go to work as a jail deputy, you're literally put in a unit with inmates from all rapists, murderers, all sorts of stuff, just low lives, and you're there by yourself with 53 other inmates, the only deputy in the unit. So fell into a depression, and then yeah, that's kind of what led to me realizing that time is way too valuable to give it to someone else and to take complete control of my life and start the business and everything. But yeah, we can dive into jail deputy stories for sure.
Yeah, dude. Okay. My wife and our guilty pleasure, like TV wise, is Lockup, which
Yes.
I don't know why. There's something about that show that is like so fascinating because I guess it's just because you're getting a glimpse into like a completely different societal structure and
Yeah.
everything. But I've watched so much Lockup. Um, is it like that? Like, is that pretty much? I'm guessing you've seen that show,
I
right?
would, yeah, I'm a big fan of 60 Days In. I don't know if you've watched that one.
Yeah. I've
That
seen that, dude.
one's,
I've seen like every
that one's
variation.
that's like incredible. But yeah, I would say that most jail shows like that are pretty spot on. Like they're not exaggerating stuff going on. It's wild.
So, I mean, what is like I don't know. Is it like fights every single day? Like, is it as like in the TV shows, they make it seem like it's like everything's moving all the time, all this stuff is happening? Or is it really just like very quiet and then there's something that happens and then very quiet? Like, what's the flow of it?
It kind of comes in waves. Like I probably only had I was there for 3 years. I probably only witnessed maybe 4 or 5 fights. A lot of them are in booking when people are like coming in drunk and just like disorderly. Um, but yeah, it kind of comes in waves. If there's like bad beef in the jail and like rumors are getting around or like notes are getting around and like, gangs are fighting against each other, like those will pop off and they'll put the jail on lockdown for a week and stuff. But it's not like individually as a jail as a whole, probably at least a couple fights a week, but individually, like in your unit during your shift, it's not very often. And it really depends on how good the officer is to kind of keep things at bay.
Yeah. What was like the wildest thing you saw?
Yeah. So there's a couple. The one that comes to mind is I was working a unit. It was a tower unit, so there's 2 levels, open day area, so just tables, chairs everywhere, TVs, and then the officers on a bubble, which is basically just a desk pushed up against the wall, so no one can go behind you, and you're basically out in the open with everyone. So
Dang.
on the radio, someone called like Deputy Kline, we have inmate blah 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 coming back to your unit. So usually you like look over at the door, and it's a double door, and you have a screen to hit open. And I looked over and I recognized the guy, and they move you around a different unit, so you get to see everybody. And I thought for sure the guy was in my unit, but he lied to the transport deputy that was bringing him up. So let him in my unit. He immediately ran over to a guy that killed his uncle and started beating the living crap out of him. And then it turned into like a 6-person fight. Pepper spray was used, and it was my first fight ever, like witnessing. And the sergeants were coming up like trying to figure out what happened and like try to get the report done. And I just remember walking down to the sergeant's office because they removed me from the unit so I could write the report and stuff. And I'm just like, I couldn't even get words out. I was like shook, and I was like, that was insane. I don't even know what happened. So that was probably the wildest one. Trying to think of other ones. I mean, booking was
Like, was there
always.
like alcohol in the toilets and stuff like that? Like, were people doing a lot of that and you're like finding contraband and like shanks and all that?
So usually the
Or is that more
unit.
prison?
I mean, it's both. Definitely prison. Like prison, I'm sure there's shanks everywhere, and there's constant, drugs and paraphernalia and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely those things in the jail too. We would do shakedowns, and we did one when we were in the academy, and we found a shank. But there's also, this is the first shakedown I ever did. I was on the second unit, or second, what is it called, cell, second cell in. This big white dude, huge burly beard. He must have been 300 pounds, 6'3". Get him out, handcuff him, put him on the outside. Then you go through his cell. And obviously you're respectful when you're doing that. But this dude's huge. And I accidentally drop his toothbrush in the toilet. So
Oh, that's gross.
I know it's so gross.
That
Luckily he
sucks.
like didn't see it. And obviously I like replaced it and everything. But I was just like this new recruit, and I'm dropping toothbrushes in the toilet on inmates is wild.
Dang. So you
It's a
did that for
brutal
three
job.
years. Yeah. It sounds, I mean, it's funny because like I think back when I was a teacher and it's like that doesn't sound there. I guess like I really didn't like teaching a lot, but it doesn't sound quite as distressing as what you were doing.
I'm
And
sure
now
it's
you're
just
doing
as
something
stressful though.
completely different, man. It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Um, And what Brittany was a teacher
Yep.
before, right?
She taught third grade and fourth grade for about 4 or 5 years.
That's so crazy, man. Yeah, because choral, I think my wife taught for, I think she taught, I don't know, I'm going to say for 5 years, maybe. That career just, how do you feel about teaching as a career?
It's definitely changed. That's for sure. I mean, we say all the time we're so
Yeah.
blessed to get Brittany out before the pandemic hit and like it went to crap.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's just changed a ton compared to what it used to be, and they don't get paid anywhere near what they should.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, I don't know how much it's gone up since I was teaching, but like, I think I was making 50, I think with my band director stipend, I was making like 53,000 maybe. And I don't think it's gone up a ton since then,
Probably
which is
not.
pretty crazy. And I actually remember back then, like the cost of living increase was like 2% or something. And I remember like I was thinking like, okay, this is like not even like I'm basically getting like a salary decrease every year because of inflation. Like I'm
Yeah,
not even
right.
making any more money. And I don't think it's gone up very much. But I like New York. Was she in New York when she was teaching?
Yeah, yep. She started a private school, and I think that her salary to start was under 30K, which was like ridiculous.
Jeez,
But then she quickly
that's
went to a
crazy,
public
man.
school, and our like health insurance and like benefits for teachers in New York is insane. Like they're so good. That was really hard to give up to have Brittany join the business full time. But yeah, I think her starting salary at like a public school is like 40, 45. So pretty low, but you top out. I mean, when you're done, and this is like 20 years from now, when you're done, you're making close to 100,000, 90,000 or so.
Yeah, yeah, that's what Larry Ludwig was on this podcast. We were talking about teaching, and it was like he was talking about New York and how the salaries can get pretty decent up there. Um, but still, I mean, it's tough. My sister went into teaching very recently, like I think right after the pandemic, and the stuff she tells me, I'm just like, oh my goodness, like that sounds like impossible. It sounds like an impossible job to me now.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so what is? I mean, I don't know. How's life different now? Like, because now I mean, you're both at home, you're with your kids, making great money now. Like, I don't know, what do you feel like is the most different from back when you were doing what you were doing, Brittany was doing what she was doing to now?
Just freedom. That's like a word that our family tosses around all the time. It's like our mission. It's like our vision. Everything's around freedom of our time and money. Yeah, just freedom to wake up and work when we want, work out when we want. Brittany was out, going to a yoga class at 11, and she said that, the entire class was old women, and she was like the only young mom there, which is just,
Yeah,
it's a unique position to be in, to have that much freedom that you can kind of pick and choose the days you work, the times you work. That was ultimately what I wanted all along, is complete freedom of my time. And looking back, I realized how much I absolutely hated. So every job I had, I didn't get fired from. I quit from every single one just because I hated it. It was like, I can't
yeah,
stand someone else telling me what to do. I cannot stand it. So it's been huge, huge
yeah,
blessing.
yeah. I mean, do your kids understand what you do? Because my kids, how old are your kids? Because my kid's 3, so like he
Yeah.
doesn't really, I don't know, he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah. He doesn't know yet. Our oldest Callie's in kindergarten. She kind of understands. She like, I think what makes it click the most is seeing like a YouTube video of us on it, because she like watches YouTube, so she'll
Yeah,
like understand like, oh, data makes YouTube videos. Um, but yeah, we try to incorporate them in, and try to explain what we do, and really push business. Like I want them. I mean, it's up to them, but I really want them to start a business and flourish that. I really want to be the person within our family, tree, to push business and get other business owners started, versus going down the 9 to 5 rat race.
yeah. Do you think that it's one of the things, like, I've heard different kind of philosophies on this. I'm not even sure how I feel about it anymore, but do you think like
Yep.
everybody could start a business if they wanted to? Like, do you think everybody could be a business owner?
Mm, no, I think I think it's a lot harder than. I mean, people. I'm sure you see this too. Like people will watch your content or consume your content and think like, "Wow, he was an overnight success. It's so easy." They don't realize like the stress that goes behind it, and the hard work and the strategy and that long hours at the beginning. Um, and I don't. I think business owners are way more risk like tolerant, where a lot of people
Yeah,
that like their job, like I have a buddy that works in sales and marketing, and he loves his job. He makes really good money, and that's a little different because you can like get paid a little bit more for hard work. It's not like a normal
sure.
salary job, but he's like super content, and he gets his paycheck every 2 weeks, and it's like, the security of that is the happiness versus business owners are like, let's just try to make money however we can and start a business type of thing.
Yeah, I wonder about that sometimes. I'm like, man, would I like if I could go back and find like the perfect job? I mean, I love what I do, but it's like everybody else. Like I, you know, it's stressful sometimes. It's like really stressful sometimes. And I'm
Yep.
like, I'm in this point right now, and I think you're kind of. It seems like you're in the same place. You know, we can dive into it, but like, I've been hiring more and more people, and so it's like my job has very much shifted from like I don't know, not I wouldn't say strategy, but definitely like getting the right people in the right places and like understanding what motivates different people and like compensation and like really as we've dove into the full-time employee thing, like that's been this whole other like world of business that I didn't really know anything about. So
Yeah.
like have you kind of found that same thing as you've started hiring people? I don't know what your team looks like right now, but I know you have more
Yeah.
people than
We
just you.
yeah, we can kind of go over it. Kudos to you for the full-time employee thing. That's like something that we've thought about many, many times and talked about, and it's like something we're not into. We want to keep a small, lean, mean team, even if that means like we're not going to continue to skyrocket. That's just something. It's just stressful, like you said, because the people are
Yeah.
relying on you like crazy. But yeah, so right now we have Brittany and I, and then we have an ops manager, and then we have an editor, virtual assistant, another virtual assistant, and then my brother is like a optimization specialist. So it's a pretty small
Oh,
team,
that's
all
cool.
contractors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's cool. I think that's a great. I mean, like I was just like I had a contract team forever. You know, I mean, obviously, like just like you, it was just me doing everything for a long time. And I think
yeah,
my first hire was a virtual assistant, and then from there, I don't even remember. It was probably like a web developer or something. Um, I decided to go the full time route because I just felt like I had a hard time with contractors sometimes because like I wanted somebody to like really be in it with me. Like that's when I was
yeah,
happiest. Like when I felt
yep,
like we were like all like really, really in it together. Um, and I think this is dependent on the people. I just couldn't find contractors that it felt that way with. But your team seems like tighter than what I would consider most contract teams would be. Does that feel kind of
yeah,
accurate?
yeah. We went through a coaching program 2X, and they did a lot about hiring and hiring the right people, and like you said, the
Hmm.
motivations and the so we spend a lot of time hiring and we fire quick and hire slow. I guess that's the saying.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, yeah, for
we
sure.
found we found all of the freelancers that we have been with us for 2 or 3 years now,
That's
which is
cool.
basically half of our business lifespan.
Yeah.
And yeah, tight knit group, all work together, all kind of go after the same vision and mission that we've laid down, and it's been really good.
Man, yeah, that's awesome. Has it so how do you find these people? Because I use a
Yeah,
recruiter, like I just use like a recruiter to hire
for
people.
sure.
Have do you where do you find? Because I think a lot of people that are watching this, I know are like interested in freelancing, and I tell people there's a lot of opportunity out there to freelance, but I think it's kind of interesting to hear it from the business owner perspective, like how you actually acquire these freelancers. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I'll jump into that. I definitely think like obviously there's so much work to freelance. And I think that's definitely the fastest way to leave a 9 to 5 is find like high quality freelance work,
Yeah,
for sure. And flex jobs has been one that's like they have so many opportunities there. Upwork, Fiverr. I mean, there's tons of places to find work. And I was kind of looking at all of them when I first left my 9 to 5 to become a freelancer.
yeah,
But yeah, we find all of our team through our email list actually. So they're already followers of us,
that's
and
so cool.
we'll just kind of post our job posting within there, and then we post on our Facebook page and whatnot. But we've gotten some really really good applicants there, and the way that works so well is because they already know who we are. They already know like what we're all about,
Yeah,
and if they're applying, they're like, yeah, I want to get on board with that. So it's worked out really well.
yeah.
We've also
No,
been
that's
super
sweet.
lucky. Like our editor's a family friend over the last like 10 years. My brother's working with us too, so it's helped out really well too.
Yeah, that's really cool. I feel like I know I've hired at least one freelancer from my audience. It was actually somebody for Laptop Empires, but they came from the Millennial Money Man audience, and she's been with me for since 2018. Like, just has just stuck around. So
Awesome.
I've definitely done that before. Um, and then yeah, I've usually used like a recruiter, and now like with the full time people, like I don't know if you have to use a recruiter, but it's a lot of like LinkedIn, a lot of paying for recruiters.
Yep.
But yeah, I think, dude, like if you can keep I think if you can keep the contract team and like have like bought in contractors, I think that's an awesome way to go. Like the
Yeah.
employee thing is hard.
I was going to ask
It's
like,
hard, but it's very rewarding.
yeah. You mentioned like your reason for transition. Can you explain or like walk through like, I guess, benefits and all like the process of even going that
Yeah.
route?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, part of it was like the contract, like I said, the contractor thing. I just didn't feel, um, I don't know. I'm on all the time, right? And like I don't have like I'm not good with like boundaries, and I've just from following you for a long time, like I know that you're probably much better at like healthy work life balance and stuff. I'm not happy when I do that, and I found that a lot like when I was like a solo blogger and I was like working in coffee shops by myself and like trying to do the work life balance thing. Like I actually got depressed that way. Like I think for whatever reason, my brain is just wired to like just always go.
Yeah.
Um, and and so I think that's one of the things that was hard for me with contractors was that they do have boundaries. Like smart contractors have boundaries around their work schedules and all of that, and like full-time employees do as well. But like if you hire, it's like you hire the right people. like like last night I was online with my director of operations or head of operations until like 10 o'clock last night. Like we were just like chatting about business and it was fun, but that's not something that I could expect. I don't even expect Ariel to do that, but it's just you don't get that as much. And so,
Yeah.
um, but I think also, um, I don't I because I do help because I have laptop empires as well, and I had like two contract teams. Like basically the way that things worked with me is like I was building Millennial Money Man, and then we launched laptop empires, and like pretty much all of my focus went over there because we were making really good money like out of nowhere. And but the thing that I really was the most passionate about was still Millennium Money Man, just like that brand, like the personal finance side, because Laptop
Yep.
Empires is just like straight up digital marketing. And so I like I was making this money from Laptop Empires, and like Millennium Money Man was really like atrophied, like because I couldn't write as much as I was before, and so I started hiring like some contract team members, and I was basically like taking money that I was making from LE and like putting it back into Millennium Money Man, um, to help try to grow it and like keep it going. And then that was just really difficult. It was really difficult to like have the all contract team because at one point we had like 20 people at LE. It's smaller now, but like we had a ton of people over there. And then I was trying to like manage the contract team over on the Money Man side too, and I just didn't feel like I could do it. Um, and so the first hire that I made, actually, my accountant really talked me into it. She was just like, she had an all contract team. She was like, Bobby, you just need to go after it. Like, just start hiring some full time people and just like take the leap. And so I put a job out for a part time director of operations. And what year was that? This was maybe almost 3 years ago, 2 years ago, something like that. I put that job post out, had interviews, and then I found somebody that was a good fit. And then through that process, I actually, again, my accountant was just like, just offer him a full-time job. Like, don't do this part-time thing. Like, just go after it. And I didn't think we could afford it. I was just like, man, this is like crazy. I don't know. That was the scariest part.
Yeah.
But I made a full-time offer and they accepted. And then from there, we took the Ariel Gardner, who's my head of ops now. She was a freelance writer for me forever. She actually worked for Michelle.
Yeah.
She was Michelle's. She
Proofreader,
is
right?
Michelle's sister-in-law.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was her editor for a very long time, but she was freelance writing for me, and so we made her full time as well. And so then we've just kind of grown from there. And we added a full time head of content. We're hiring. I don't. By the time this episode goes live, we're hiring a full time email marketer as well. And we're bringing on a part time web developer next or in January. So now I've just kind of like gone all the
Yeah.
gone down
Yeah.
the road of it, um, but as far as like you asked about like the like
Just like setting up
pay and benefits and
benefits
all that kind of stuff.
and yeah.
Yeah. So I think the most difficult thing when you're a small business, like if you're not doing like, I don't know, I'm going to say if you're not doing $6-7 million a year or $10 million a year, I think the hardest thing is like health insurance when you're trying to find these people,
Yep.
because man, I think that's the benefit that most people are the most concerned about, and I get it because like it's expensive, it sucks. And so like, if you're trying to find talent, like they usually are finding jobs that have great health insurance. So that's the one thing that we don't have yet. But we do unlimited paid time off. We do 401k with a 4% match. What else do we do? We do 2 weeks of like, we shut down for 2 weeks out of the year. Cause the thing with unlimited PTO is that people don't take it very often.
Yeah.
It's actually like, I learned this through the process because I was like, man, unlimited PTO like sounds like the best thing ever to offer employees. But really, a lot of corporations use it because it forces employees to take less time off because then they feel bad about taking time off.
Yep.
So once I found
Psychologically.
that out, I was like, okay, well, we need to like at least shut down for 2 weeks out of the year,
Yeah.
and like kind of force people to like take a break. We do quarterly retreats in different places in the country. We're doing Austin in January, then we're going to do Nashville, and then we're going to do, I think, Bellingham, Washington in Q3. I don't
Nice.
think we figured out Q4 yet. And then what else are we doing? I think we're going to start doing healthcare reimbursement. And then actually the kicker is now we do profit sharing, and then we also are doing a pathway to equity for early employees. That's kind of how we make up for the health insurance, the
Okay.
lack of the health
Yeah.
insurance, is we offer equity to people.
Yeah.
Which was scary, man. I didn't know, like I
For
didn't
sure.
really, like the thought of like giving equity, and it's not giving equity away, like they earn it. But the thought of like setting aside equity to the company is a scary thought, but it's been good because I think it allows you to have a little more flexibility on salaries and people see the upward potential and all of that. So that's pretty
Yeah.
much all of it,
I definitely think, yeah,
but
it's
it's,
definitely,
dude, it's a beast though.
yeah. The equity share, and like, I think that that's such a good motivator too. We've tossed around that idea of somehow incorporating that, or at least like commission based off of performance and stuff. I'm not sure. But yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, once your business grows to a certain level, it's all about like switching to the CEO hat and like how to manage people and figure out
Yeah.
what makes them tick and all that stuff. It's a totally different game.
Yeah. I've seen you. I mean, I follow your stuff on social media and you've been like posting a lot more lately, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um, but like I've seen you kind of shift into that CEO role more. Like what caused, like for me, I just feel like that's what I naturally love doing. But like for you, was it the same, or did you like do some coaching or something that kind of pushed you more into that direction of like stepping out of the business?
Yeah. Few reasons. One of them was just like to create more time so that we have more time with our family and doing hobbies and things we love, and new adventures. But I think the book, The Millionaire Fast Lane, kind of changed the way I thought. And then definitely we took a coaching program. We've done it twice now with 2X, and that was life changing to really figure out how to have the business run without us being the main cog and kind of manage from the top type of thing.
What is it? Can you explain 2X a little bit more? Because I feel like I've heard of that, but I don't know like who runs that.
Austin, Netzel here. Before I fall over. He's got a couple books. His new ones, the free plug for Austin, 2 week vacation test. Um,
Oh, sick.
and yeah, they run 2X, and they kind of basically their mantra is like helping 6-figure business owners turn into 7-figure business owners.
Yeah.
Um, so we signed up for like a 3-month intensive program. We've gone to their mastermind, which is incredible. I think that was near, you live in Austin?
I live in Houston, so
Houston.
about 3.5 hours from me.
Okay. It was Austin, so we weren't that close. But yeah, it's kind of a program that gets you to create the systems within the business and figure out what is eating up your time, and then making sure that you are doing those CEO tasks that are, the $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour tasks that you should be really working on to grow the business, versus, answering emails or creating YouTube scripts, like stuff that you can outsource for $20 an hour type of thing.
Do you feel like you're working less hard now?
Oh yeah. Um, when we first, I was working the hardest when the blog was making zero money because I was so desperate.
Yeah.
I was working a full-time job, and then
Dude.
like every waking hour, I was just thinking about the next piece of content we were going to write. I was publishing like new articles at 5 a.m, like before work, like just grinding.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly, like almost telling my parents I couldn't come to Thanksgiving because I had to like work on the business. It was like, this is
Yeah.
so ridiculous.
God, man, it's crazy.
Um,
Yeah, I remember those days.
yeah,
It sucks.
but just like grinding. But then, yeah, I feel like definitely in the last 2 years, we've really been able to, I mean, I probably worked, yesterday was the longest day I worked in probably 2 years, and it was for like 8 hours, and my brain was like falling out of my head. But yeah, I'll probably average like 20, 25 hours a week. Brittany's probably around the same. And yeah, it's just been really focusing on tracking our hours and like making sure that we are working on the right stuff when we are working. So it's all deep work stuff for the
What's the
most part.
split that you do between you and Brittany? Like, what does Brittany work on versus what you work on?
Yeah, that's a good question. um, so I'm definitely way more hands-on with the team and like working with our ops manager and strategy. I do all the Facebook ads. I'm kind of like the head of marketing, while Brittany's like head of fulfillment. So she's kind of more on the email funnels and definitely like more on her membership and fulfillment within that. So she spends a lot of time, yeah, just in fulfillment with better onboarding, more products, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I've been getting hit with your. I feel like the holidays coming up. I'm getting hit with your picture frame ad.
Yeah, with Skylight.
Yeah, I see that one a lot. It looks pretty sweet.
That's that's a really interesting partnership. So we have a guy that we used to work with, Corbin, and he worked with Honey for a long time. We did the same type of thing where he basically comes in, takes our liking on our Facebook page, and basically runs the ads for us, and then we just take the commission split with him.
Right.
So it's super hands off, and it's been awesome, and it's a good
Yeah.
product. We have a bunch of them in our family.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think we honestly we might have one too. I don't know if we bought it through your ad or not,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that's cool. I mean, do you feel like my wife and I tried the working together thing, and like it just didn't work out. But you've seemed to do very well with it. Like, is it hard working with the spouse, or do you love it? Like, where do you kind of fall on the spectrum?
It's it's tough. I mean, we definitely haven't figured it out yet. Is
Yeah.
Coral still doing her YouTube and stuff, right?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
doing her YouTube. So what she basically tells people when they ask her, like, because everybody, you meet people and they're like, "What do you do?" She's like, "I'm a stay-at-home mom and part-time YouTuber," which
Okay.
is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Like she puts out a couple videos a month. Really, she's kind of like keeping it. She's had good growth and everything out of it, and she makes money from it. But like, she's kind of keeping it, I'd say, warm until like we want another kid, and then like once those kids are in school, she wants to like just kind of pick it up and take and go pretty
Gotcha.
hard on it because she doesn't want to like just sit around and
Yeah.
do nothing. So
Yeah. No, that's smart.
so yeah, she's just kind of keeping it warm, putting content out, and but she's really good at it. But yeah, she's doing that. But I don't have anything to do with that.
Yeah. Right. Besides, I think you
Yeah.
mentioned a couple times that once it blows up, you can retire finally and stuff as a joke.
Yeah, I know, dude. I want. I
Yeah.
know it'd be great. I joke about that. I don't think I would,
Yeah.
um, but yeah. So she does that. So, but we try it. Like she did some Pinterest stuff with me a while ago, and like we just didn't get the dynamic right of like I felt weird telling her what to do, I guess, like feeling like I was managing her, and she certainly didn't want to feel like I was managing her. And so
Totally.
it was like, maybe we should just not do this.
Definitely, I would
you
say
know?
like definitely the most curse words and yelling and arguing comes from working together on the business for sure. And just having like
Really?
conflicts with different vision or strategy and whatnot. But yeah, I think we've been high school sweethearts since we were 14. So we've been together forever.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a long time.
we actually, I think we just did our 10-year anniversary, and then I think we've been together for 16 years or something like that. So over half our life. So anyways,
Yeah.
we've like really developed a good relationship, like good working relationship, good, spouse relationship, mother, father, like all the hats that we wear. And I think, yeah, I think it's just having those boundaries. And I think it's also having like the strictish, like, we're both, you're the CEO of the Savvy Mama, I'm the CEO of the Savvy Couple. And then we come together to like kind of manage the entire thing. But yeah, it's difficult. It's definitely not an easy thing. And I don't think everyone can do it for sure. It's hard.
Right. Yeah. I could see that being tough, but that's a cool way to like separate it out. Like you're CEO of this, I'm CEO of that. Like what is, I don't know, what is the difference between the brands? Like, obviously it's like one's for moms, you've got the kitchen thing, but like, how is it different than what you're doing with Savvy Couple? Like, are they completely separated, or is it like all kind of like intermingled in some way?
Yeah. So we created our kind of our cast to control bundle, which has a bunch of planners, for the Savvy Couple, and then we kind of came to the realization that it doesn't really match up with the brand as well as it once did. So in the last 6 months, we launched the SavvyMama.com, and we launched our membership last year. So they're like completely separate. The Savvy Mama is all about helping moms create home systems and getting time back in their life, where the Savvy Couples, how to make money online, start an online business type of thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think, do you ever think about doing like courses about like kids? stuff like that. My wife is like so into those. Like when we had our son, it was like there's taking care of babies, I think is somebody, but they put out like sleep courses and like behavioral courses. Like, is that kind of in the roadmap, or is it like just more of the system, like home organization stuff?
First off, Coral's must be a great mom because Brittany's like the same. Brittany's an incredible mom, and she like devours stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Constantly.
Coral's
Like
awesome.
they were like designed to be awesome moms. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. We've tried doing tons of course launches in our career, and we've only had one that's gone well. Um, so it's kind of not our cup of tea. It's the opposite. Like you guys crush course launches. I know definitely Facebook side hustle,
I
and
hate
then
doing them
you got
though.
like, do you? There's so
I
much
hate the
work.
launch part of it.
Yeah,
I mean, we're our kind of like, I don't know. I think that the evergreen funnels, that's always our goal, is to get to like evergreen,
yep,
because like um, every course launch is different, and sometimes they go really well, sometimes they don't do well, and it's like you never really know, and you kind of have to figure out what happened after the fact. And I feel like the team just gets like, it's just a lot of work for them to do for a launch that may or may not crush, you know.
yeah,
And so for us, the way we treat launches now, because we've got probably three more kind of like freelancing products that are in the roadmap for us. But we also are going to have high ticket versions of those programs as well. But it's really like we launch each time to try to improve the product in some way. So they're almost like cohorts now.
yeah,
So this last launch we did for our bookkeeping course, the main goal of it obviously is to help people do well and make money and all of that. But like we built out this whole new onboarding system, and like, because the thing that sucks about courses sometimes is that it's hard to get people to come to coaching calls if you have a
yeah,
coaching component attached to it. And so we wanted to see if we could improve that and like LTV and retention and attendance on those calls. And so we built out this like ridiculous SMS notification, add stuff to your calendar as you come into the program. But that was the goal of the launch. And so we'll do one more cohort of the bookkeeper program before we take it evergreen. So that'll happen in January. And I think we're going to probably focus on some of the coaching and some other like pricing things and things like that. Like we got to figure out some different kind of levers that we want to pull.
yeah.
But it's just, yeah, I don't know. They kind of suck. So it's
How
probably
do,
not a bad idea that you aren't doing them.
yeah. Well, I mean, we've kind of seen the writing on the wall that we suck at them anyway, so it's kind of like a waste of time for us. How do you
So you're
do
more into
like,
like digital products and coach, or like I feel like, so you do printables and things like that. And I feel like you have like a monthly membership group, right?
yeah, Brittany's, yep, she's got the Savvy Mama membership, so it's a low ticket membership, and it's got a community aspect to it, just kind of a place for moms to find support and connectivity to kind of deal with the problems.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
that's
then
been,
I'm guessing like affiliate marketing is kind of your other big,
yeah,
I'm
yep,
assuming.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. How do
Yeah,
you,
man,
I'm
it's a good way to
curious how
make
you
money.
do with the emotional side of like launches, because I know we've done one of the launches we did back when we were doing the 2X coaching was marriage. What was it called? Something with marriage and money. And we were going to
Mhm.
launch it, and we were like expecting to make like 10K from it, and it was going to be this awesome launch. And like 3 people signed up, and I was like
Yeah.
devastated. And like I was super. I like basically tied my worth into how the launch went, and it was a really good lesson
Yeah.
to like learn like that was just a failure, and it's like part of the journey, and you got to learn from it and do better and not put my identity into it. But yeah, how do you do like emotionally with launches?
I feel like, I feel like I'm annoyingly, at this point, annoyingly non-bothered by them, because I've probably done 50 launches over the last 6 years.
Yeah,
Um, whether it's like relaunching a product or opening the doors or whatever. And I could tell on this last launch, like the team obviously is like, oh, they're super invested in it because they want it to do well. The way that we structure some of our courses, like our instructors they get royalties from it. Um, employees, obviously there's profit sharing. So like they want it to go well. But I've kind of just gotten this, like, I don't really care how they do. I'm just more concerned about what are we going to learn from it at the end of it, which is not how I used to be. I used to be more emotionally invested in them, but now I'm
yeah,
just like, these are just things that we have to do to get this product to work really, really well so that we can take it evergreen and scale it.
yep,
Um, so I'm like, yeah, definitely less now than the team is. And I kind of have to feel like I kind of have to coach the team a little bit on that. Cause
yeah,
like none of them have done as many launches as me. And so I've got to kind of like temper like, hey, this could go really well. Like when we launched the bookkeeper course, it did really well, but it was like, this could be great, or this could do nothing.
Yeah.
So this
Yep.
might really suck. So I think as long, yeah, that's pretty much, it just doesn't affect me as much as it used to, but I still don't like doing it because I do think it's a drain on the team. Um, and I want to get stuff evergreen. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to have to mess with the logistics of launching stuff, you know?
Totally. Yep.
So,
Keep it simple.
what's the end goal like for you? What are you, what are you trying to do? You trying to sell all your stuff and like just retire in the Bahamas? Or are you trying to like just keep things running because you enjoy it?
Yeah. I think when we first started the business and like really started to take off, I had that goal of like, let's retire early. The goal is like,
Mm,
retire by 35 and do whatever we want after that. But the more I get into it and the more we've built the business and like are seeing the impact we're making, it's like, this is what my calling is for sure. So yeah, we were
that's
actually
cool.
considering selling in the last year or two, just the Savvy Couple brand.
Hmm.
Um, and getting that cash windfall. And I just kept thinking like, we're going to reach our financial goals without selling it, like within the next year or two. Like, why would I get rid of something we've built over the last 6 years, just to do that?
Yeah,
So yeah, the goal would be to continue to build, and we definitely want to get into real estate. So yeah, just continue to, make it passive and build the team around it and have it continue to
that's
grow
cool.
on all sides.
Yeah, there's something that happens to people. When I talked to Larry, came on, and he sold his site for like $6 million back in 2018, I think. There's definitely something that happens to people when they sell, where they go through this like very, I don't know, it's like this like purpose finding. Like a lot of them become depressed because I
Yeah.
have a lot of friends that have sold their businesses. They go through like a bout of depression, and then they go through this kind of like wandering through life, and they don't know what their purpose is. And then they ultimately either buy their websites back or start a very similar business.
Yeah.
So like my whole thought on it has been like, why don't I just grow a bigger business that I really love
Yep.
doing every day and is like super fun, and just really scale it until I'm tired of scaling it. Because like yeah, I got an offer to sell probably 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and I had some talks with a company and we were kind of going through the process, and I was just like, nah, I don't want to do this.
Yep.
So I just kind of I backed out. Um, but I do think there's something to just finding work that you really love doing and just
Totally.
doing that. Like I
Yep.
think that that's more important than money for sure.
Oh, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, I was thinking the same thing. Like, I was going through the emotional process of like, if we did sell, what would life look like after that? Like, we'd have the money, we'd be free, but like, what would I be waking up to
Yeah.
do? What would be my purpose? And when I was at the jail, I
Yeah.
was like, I've never gone through depression before. I was like depressed, like didn't know what was going on,
Yeah.
felt completely stuck, lost, confused, frustrated. And like, I was like, why would I ever want to go back to that spot of feeling, you know,
Yeah.
unpurposeful and unfulfilled? So yeah, I think you're right. If you can find work that you love to do and enjoy and get fulfillment from, and it's, you got a purpose behind it, that's when life becomes very, very good.
I think so too. I think so too. I always try to ask this question to people that come on the podcast. Um, there's probably a point in your business, because I remember seeing your income reports back in the day, and then, you've talked about how your business has grown so much. Um, was there a point in time where you ever saw like a big number come in, um, and you looked at that number and like, did it make you happy?
Hmm. I maybe temporarily. That's a good question. I think it's a deep question. I think,
I think about this all the time.
yeah, I think when it really hit that we like made it was it's happened twice. The month before Brittany left her job, we made $47,000, which was more than she made her entire year teaching.
Yeah.
And that was like, holy cow. We're Christian. We were definitely like, God is telling you to quit your job and do this full time with me, like clear as day. So that was one of the times
Yeah.
I was like super happy. And that was like such a big accomplishment to have Brittany leave teaching and kind of retire, and join the business. And then after that, for about a year, we were kind of like lost on like, all right, now what? Like we've made it. We have the
Yeah.
business we want. We're making plenty of money. Like what's next? And that goalpost keeps moving and you keep scaling. I think the other time that like it was like, wow, this is pretty wild that we've done this. We've had 100K months, and it's like, wow, you know that's a shit ton of money. in a month's period of time. And yeah, you get like happy for the moment, and then you realize like this is just part of the journey. And I think the happiness comes from having the freedom to pick and choose when you work and what you spend your time doing versus the money. I think the money is just the tool to get you that freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when the reason I asked that question to everybody that comes on, like, the thing that was, I was like, well, back when I launched Facebook Side Hustle with Mike in 2018, like we did 130, I think it was 136,000 in that first weekend. And I had never, I mean, Millennial Moneyman was not doing anything close to that at the time. I was maybe, I don't remember. I have to go back and look at the income reports. I think maybe my best month was like 20 grand. And a lot of that was like service based stuff where I was hustling and I was doing
Yeah.
ads for clients and stuff. Um, but then that happened. And I remember like seeing the money come in, um, and then going like, wow, this is so crazy. This is awesome. And then it went away so fast. Like that
Very
feeling
fast.
of like, this is amazing.
Yep.
And I was like, I remember being really kind of like bummed. I was like, wait, this is it? Like everybody wants to get rich and like do all this stuff and make all this money. And it doesn't, I mean, you should still try to make, I think you should still try to like, if you want to make a bunch of money, go for it, do it. But man, it doesn't have the same impact that you think it would have.
Nope.
And so one of my goals with this podcast is to kind of get that point across. Cause like every single person I've asked so far has basically said the same thing you just said,
Yep.
where it's like, it's quick and then it goes away.
Yeah. Well, that's
You
good.
know,
I'm glad I had the right
it's just
answer
crazy.
there. Yeah. I think
I don't know if it's the right answer. I mean, God, man, maybe there's somebody out there that's like, oh man, it changed my life and made me so happy. And I think like the answer that or the response that I've seen a lot is just like, well, I'd like to find out for myself, like, oh,
yeah.
boohoo, it doesn't make you happy and stuff, which I get
Yeah.
that. But it's just amazing how, like, I think about like doctors and lawyers and people that we're very lucky. I feel like we've got our job's very cool.
Yeah.
And you get to create a lot of your freedom and lifestyle and all that. But like the people that go out and like become these kind of like, they become a lawyer and you want to make a bunch of money and then you're trapped in it because you got like the golden handcuffs and it's just a crazy path that you see people go down, but we all do it.
Yeah.
But I just think that it just sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks that it doesn't make you happier.
Totally. I
Um,
mean, Mike was a lawyer before he started Laptop Empires and did his agency and stuff,
yeah,
wasn't
he
he?
hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike was doing, I mean, he was doing like contracts at an oil company, I think. So like his job was like, he was a lawyer, but like he was just reading contracts and like making edits to contracts. Like that
Brutal.
sounds awful.
Brutal.
Um, yeah, brutal for sure. So what's like next on the roadmap for you? You adding more brands to the Savvy brand or
Probably not.
building what you have?
I think the Savvy Mama's that's been our focus for a while. Kind of like the last 6 months. I think it'll be a good focus for the next year or so to really build the membership as much as we can. And yeah, same thing with Savvy Couple, kind of continue to scale that, kind of get back into creating content. Like you said, we kind of been more active there for sure. So I want to get back to making videos, and I'm finding that like super fulfilling. And then it's kind of just figuring out like what's next. We've always wanted to get into real estate and figure out how to invest there. And I think long-term, my big kind of reason for wanting to make so much money and reach financial freedom early on is like, I want to leave a legacy and have like a big impact on our community, at our church. And I've really found that like the money is not the part that brings you the happiness. It's the serving others with the assets that you have is what really brings me the joy and happiness. So, the money allows me to do more and more of that. So that's kind of the end goal.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. Well, dude, thanks for coming on. Tell people where can everybody find you, or social handles, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We're at The Savvy Couple on all social media channels. That's 2 V's. Everyone always spells it with 1. And yeah, you can come check us out. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, all the YouTube, and we'll feel free to reach out.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Nice catching up, Bobby.